The Trumpet Daily from Jerusalem.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Trumpet Daily. Today Israel's leaders tried to reassure an Israeli public that had overwhelmingly backed Mitt Romney's bid to unseat President Obama. After congratulating the president on his re-election victory last night, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the strategic alliance between Israel and the U.S. is stronger than ever. Israel's Deputy Foreign Minister, Danny Ayalon, he tweeted that President Obama would be an excellent president for Israel. And Israel's ambassador to the U.S., Michael Oren, he characterized the relationship between the U.S. and Israel as intimate and said this closeness would continue during President Obama's second term. Now, as nice as these diplomatic statements sound, the reality is President Obama's government has been the most hostile administration Israel has ever had to work with. As Charles Krauthammer wrote on September 13th, not since its birth has Israel been so cast adrift by its closest ally. One politician here in Israel, Likud member Danny Danon, was less diplomatic when describing the relationship between the U.S. and Israel. He said, President Obama was not good for Israel. We should not be hypocrites and say that everyone is good. That's what Danon told Arutz Sheva. And then he added that Netanyahu was careful not to interfere in the elections, but to tell the truth, it was not easy with President Obama. Now, that statement was made on Election Day, and I'm sure Danon, like 65% of Israelis, was hoping for a Romney victory. And now that that hasn't happened, where does Israel go from here? Especially with respect to the Iranian nuclear program. The night before the U.S. election, in an interview on Channel 2 here in Israel, Prime Minister Netanyahu said Israel would be ready to act alone in targeting Iran's nuclear program. When David Ben-Gurion declared the foundation of the State of Israel, was it done with American approval? The Prime Minister asked. If someone sits here as the Prime Minister of Israel and he can't take action on matters that are cardinal to the existence of this country, its future, and its security, and he is totally dependent on receiving approval from others, then he is not worthy of leading. Mr. Netanyahu added, I can make these decisions. Now, regarding his own re-election bid in January, Netanyahu pledged that Iran would not have a nuclear program by the end of his next term. Notice what one columnist at Israel Hayom said about Netanyahu's hawkish stance and the prospect of a second term for President Obama. It means that if Obama is re-elected, Israelis are going to have to clean out their bomb shelters and get ready for a large-scale call-up of the reserves in anticipation of an ugly retaliation, possibly from all borders. Now, that is the frightening reality Israel faces in the months ahead, and besides Iran, Israel is also facing many other challenges in the region: a newly radicalized Egypt to the south, an ugly civil war in Syria to the north, and threats from Palestinians from within. Now, let me read to you what the New York Times had to say about those strong statements Prime Minister Netanyahu made on Monday night. The Times wrote, though American officials, including President Obama, have always acknowledged that Israel ultimately has the right to decide how to defend itself, Mr. Netanyahu's tough tone and timing on the eve of the American presidential election are sure to reignite rifts with Washington over how best to prevent Tehran from developing a nuclear bomb. Of course, all throughout the president's first term, we've been telling you that the relationship between America and Israel was prophesied to deteriorate in these latter days. In Zechariah 11:14, for example, God said he would break the brotherhood between these two nations. A second term for President Obama will only accelerate the fulfillment of this prophecy. Israel may try to go it alone for a little while, and if it does strike Iran, we can be certain that it will not fully eliminate that Iranian nuclear threat. Ultimately, Bible prophecy also reveals that Israel will seek outside help to confront radical Islam, but it won't come from America. Numerous prophecies point to the Jewish nation going to Germany for protection and help in these latter days. That's what 4 more years of an Obama administration means for this little nation of Israel. It means Israel will move further away from the United States, and it means Israel will reach out to Germany and Europe in a desperate plea for help in taking on the king of radical Islam. This is Stephen Flurry reporting from Jerusalem.